Guys, I'm really excited. I've got another amazing interview lined up for you today. We are, drum roll please, going to dive into the importance of progressing your team, ideally from within the ranks that you already have, not just hiring in people to do more senior positions or different positions, but also give your team the opportunities to progress their own careers, nurture their own talent, home grow your own talent, and allow everybody to feel content in their jobs, that they're fulfilling their potential and career destinies. So, talking about career destinies. Oh my goodness, these put my teeth in. I am joined by the very fabulous Vicky Taylor.
Hello.
Hi, you okay?
Yeah, it feels weird to be being interviewed, but
Well, this is a first.
this is a first. This is different.
A fresh perspective on business podcast first. Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is.
I do wish we'd maybe call it something shorter.
Yeah,
But never.
there's no way we're shortening that, is there? There's nothing we can do.
No, and we're 235 episodes deep now, so
It's too late.
too late. So, being Cilla Black, as always, who are you? Where'd you come from?
I'm Vicky Taylor. I'm from Chorley. And I am the manager at Fresh Perspective Resourcing.
Amazing. Okay, so talk about Fresh Perspective and careers. So I know you've had, you're 21 plus a few years. So you've had more than a career than just at Fresh Perspective.
Correct.
But over the last 4 years, from my perspective, as your employer, for the people that listen that don't know, I'm the managing director of Fresh Perspective. We are a recruitment business with a twist on the traditional. Well, Vicky might tell us more about that in a bit. But from watching your career trajectory, which is a hard word to say, over the last 4 years, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So, in particular, tell us all about the last 4 years.
It's been
4 and a bit.
Yeah. 4.5 it's been now.
0.5 years.
It has flown by. It's been a journey though, hasn't it?
It has been a journey.
Yeah.
Roller coaster of a ride.
Not one that I was probably expecting when I started at Fresh. So I started 4.5 years ago as a talent seeker. So that's the guys, the delivery team who speak to candidates on a daily basis, speak to clients. And I did that. How long was I doing that for? A year maybe?
Yeah, at least a year, I would say.
Yeah. And then I got promoted to team lead.
Woo!
Yes. I think there was a few of us at that time. It wasn't what I was expecting after a year of being here. I think it was less than that, Might have been like 6 months. Not sure.
Really?
I'm going to go with 6 months because that sounds really impressive. I'm going to go with that. And then I moved up to senior team lead. And then I became the manager, which again wasn't expecting.
When did you become the manager of Fresh?
It was 2 years ago because I remember Tony announcing it on the stage at the Freshies at Rivy Barn. So it would have been June 23, around that time.
Wow. So this is why I wanted to talk about it, because this is pretty steep.
That is
progression.
steep, yes.
Because you joined us from not long after COVID. It was 21.
Yeah, it was after the main bit of COVID was out the way, but there was still all.
So January 21 you joined.
Mm-hmm.
For those that might be listening in the future, it's May 25.
Oh, yeah.
And so the year kind of preceding, obviously you worked somewhere else. Had you been on furlough prior to joining Fresh?
No, I'd been working from home and hated it.
Okay.
That may have contributed to why I left my last job, potentially. I didn't enjoy the working from home element of it. Obviously wasn't their fault, but that was there was other reasons. But that was one reason.
That's another podcast.
Yeah.
And how did working from home impact you personally?
I didn't enjoy it. I don't like being on my own all the time. I like being around people. I think that's one of the reasons that I like Fresh. I like the social aspect of it, that we come in, it's a nice office, like the team, get on with the team. Being sat on your own at home with no one, because another reason as well is the people who were also working from home were impossible to get in touch with. I'd only been at that job like a year, and So I was still new-ish when we started working from home, and I was just sat there struggling on my own at home. I cried most days.
Oh.
It was awful. It just wasn't nice. Like I'd ring my manager, nowhere to be seen. She'd get back to me like 2 hours later. I'm like, thanks. I've just been crying for 2 hours because I don't know what to do.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I imagine coming into a new job, a new industry, after that experience, thinking about it, possibly feeling not valued,
Mm-hmm.
not heard or seen or supported. And I would imagine that would probably impact your confidence.
Yeah, I would say so. But that is one of the reasons that I was attracted to Fresh, because obviously I followed you on social media, and I was like, they look like nice people and a nice place to work and a nice team, and that's just what I wanted because of what I'd been through before. I didn't feel like part of a team because I
Oh,
was
this is
at
really
home
sad.
and I didn't have the support, and I was like, that looks like the complete opposite of what I've got now. So I was like, that's why I want to work for Fresh.
And this is I think this is a pivotal moment. And I think this is where your career progression, probably over the last 4 or 5 years, stems from. Because making that decision when you're in a negative place to make a change is hard.
Yeah,
And it takes bravery
yeah.
and courage. And then to join a company that's new, a new industry,
Mm,
again, takes guts when your confidence is low.
yeah.
And then I think it makes what you've achieved over the last 4 years even more special to me because that's where you started.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a completely different person
You are.
to when I started at Fresh. Do you know what? I think you are right that my confidence was knocked because I was a pretty confident person, I would say. And then after COVID and all that, it probably was knocked. And before the last job I was in, the job before that, I was in for like 6 years. Moved to this job and I was only in it for a year, and I'm like, oh my God, made the wrong decision.
What
And
an
I need
awful
to,
year.
I was like, need to move again. But yeah, but I was pretty quiet, not confident in myself when I first started. I was quite nervous about not cold calling, but ringing people off CV Library.
Yeah, so that was something I wanted to talk to you about. So, from my perspective, you were like a tiny little lovely mouse
Mm-hmm.
when you joined Fresh, not confident or afraid of just ringing candidates out of the blue
Yeah.
about jobs. And then fast forward 4.5 years, can't shut you up. What would you say some of the things that you've achieved throughout the last 4 years, 4.5 years?
What have I achieved? I feel like obviously my confidence has improved. I'm not afraid to say, not like question stuff, but before I've always been a bit of a yes person. Someone tells me to do something, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Whereas now I feel like I'd be more confident, say, not being a dick about things, but just being like, I don't agree with that, or maybe this might be a better way to do things.
Speaking up for
Yeah,
yourself.
speaking up and having my opinion on things. And I would say just like having that vision to do better. I feel like previously I've always thought, well, maybe I'm not good enough to do this and I can't do that. I'm only good enough for the job that I'm in. I can't progress because I'm not good enough. I don't have the skills for that. And then I feel like coming here, I've been like, do you know what? I can do that. I'm going to do it. So it's like, I remember being a senior team lead and then having an appraisal, and you were like, right, the next step is manager. And I'm like, oh my God. What?
Abort mission. SOS.
Yeah. But then I'm like, I can do this. I can.
And what's been behind that shift in mindset, going from not speaking up and saying yeah and just being a yes person to actually speaking your mind and reaching for more? What?
I mean, it is to do with being here and the support that you get from you and Emily. Because I don't think without that little push, I would have done that. But I think by you believing in me and saying like, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, yes, I can do that. But it's having that support around you. And then eventually you don't need as much support. When you're not confident.
You don't need as many pushes.
No, you kind of, it becomes natural in your brain to think like that. And you're like, I can do this. Obviously, I have some wobbles sometimes. I'll be in here with Laura and I'm like, I can't do this.
Crying into a pillow.
Yeah, but eventually you don't need, it's like having stabilizers on, isn't it? Eventually you don't, on a bike, you don't need the stabilizers. You're like, I can do this myself and I can push myself forward now.
Oh, I love this. And it is really nice to hear as your employer that that's how you feel here. What would your advice be to people? Because this episode is about the people. Obviously, it's a business podcast. I mean, lightly. We talk a lot about businesses and business people, entrepreneurs, business owners, but also it should be about the people in those businesses,
Yeah.
such as you and other people listening. Well, what advice? So you went from one company to the next, and the next was a better choice, a better fit for you, and it's allowed you to really realize your potential. Talking about it objectively, what advice would you give to people feeling like they're unhappy where they are? Wondering about whether to make the last move. They maybe moved a few times and they don't want to be seen a job hopper and they really need to make the next step, the right step. Do you have any advice for them as to how to find a place that suits them and that will allow them or nudge them into whatever it is they could be?
I feel like what's more important is finding a company that you align with like values wise and has a good company culture. So when I came to Fresh, I did take a pay cut from where I was. But what was more important to me was being happy. And what I saw on Instagram and Facebook and things like that, I was like, I am more than happy to be on a little bit less money if I am going to be happy where I am. So I think it's not about chasing the highest salary or chasing job titles. I think you really need to think about the culture that you want to go into and what like your values are and if that aligns with it. Because I know some people are in jobs and they're on tons and tons of money but not happy. Salary isn't the be all and end all of everything. It is important. We obviously need enough to live. I live on my own and I need enough money to live, but I would rather be happy than on 100 grand a year.
Yeah, because people say money doesn't buy happiness. And sometimes you think, well, if I had loads of money, I could have the house I wanted, I could go on as many holidays, we could eat out, my life would be special. But that's only outside of work. That's your 8 hours of every day, unless you're on holiday, which most people don't have unlimited holidays.
Yeah.
So you're still going to be miserable for at least 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday, because 8 of those we're supposed to sleep.
Yeah.
And then there's only 8 left in a 24-hour period to do these things with the money that you've got.
But if you're unhappy, it doesn't just stay within those 8 hours.
No,
it rolls over into everything else. So I remember at jobs I've had before, like during the week, the evenings, hated it. Didn't want to go to bed because I didn't want to get up and go to work the next day. You'd probably enjoy Friday night, Saturday. You'd wake up on Sunday and think, I've got to go back to work tomorrow. Don't like it. So I was literally enjoying 1.5 days out of a week.
Wow. Yeah, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. So it isn't contained to the 8 hours because it's such a big part of your life. So you need to make sure that you're happy where you are to enjoy your whole life. And I remember starting at Fresh and I was like, I enjoy my life again.
Yay! This is amazing. And it's a difficult decision to make, that, because you live within your means, people, not just you. And you're taking a pay cut to join, and you've looked at short-term pain versus long-term gain. Not to use a phrase I probably don't like, but you traded something for something and it paid off.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're happy in your work, you're going to be better at your work.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do better and then progress faster. And then you could go for the the progression and the pay rises.
Yeah, because with that, obviously, like you might have to start off on a lower wage, especially if you like changing industry. Because obviously, I had no recruitment experience, so you weren't going to pay me loads of money because I don't know anything about recruitment. But if you get your head down, work hard, you can achieve more. Like you don't just have to sit in that part of the job. Like I have worked my way up to become a manager. So I'm obviously on more money than I was when I started.
Just a smidge. Prepare in love. Your kind words.
But I've been promoted, and if you work hard, you can get to that point. So you then can be happy with more money.
And
it doesn't
yeah.
just come overnight to you. But with that, you do have to go out and get it. You can't just sit on your bum and wait for things to come to you. So, for example, as we're talking about salary, I did ask for a pay rise once with Laura.
I remember.
But I didn't just sit there and say, please, can I have a pay rise? Did I?
No, or like someone who has worked here before said, oh, my boyfriend's retraining, so he won't be working as much. So can you pay me more money? I'm like, I'm going to say no.
No, but when I came to Laura asking for a pay rise, I pitched you basically.
And that's why I remember it. And I don't remember it because you asked for a pay rise. I remember it because I was impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is why I think I should get a pay rise. This is what I do. This is what I've done since I started or whatever. And you were like, okay.
You're like, this is what I do that's actually not in my original job.
Yeah.
These are the additional things I've taken on board. Therefore, I believe I should be paid more to reflect that. And I was like, there was actually not a reason that I could say no. But I was like, you're right. You do bring all this value, and I agree with you. Yay! And I may have had that. We may have got to that that outcome if you just come in and gone, can I have a pay rise? I probably would have thought about it, and then I would have had to go like, right, what's she doing now? What value is she bringing? Blah blah blah. But you did that for me, and it was easier because I'm like, you laid it all out, and I'm like, right, okay, let me just sit on it for a minute, and I'll come back to you. And so is that what you say? You're saying that's one of your tips?
It is, yeah. You've got to go. You can't just expect things to come to you.
No.
You can't just expect. I mean, obviously, you might just get a pay rise, but you might just get a promotion. But you can't just sit there and wait for things to come to you. If you want something, you got to go after it and get it. And if you do want a promotion, if you see gaps in the business or things that you think you could do to improve stuff or extra responsibilities that you could take, you can't just wait and expect to become a manager or a team leader. You've got to be like, right, I want to do this, so I'm going to take on this responsibility. I'm going to start doing this. It doesn't just come to you. You've got to work hard, see the gaps, see what you can do, and work bloody hard for it.
Yeah. Things worth having often aren't easy to get. Much like doing the right thing isn't not always the easy thing. But I suppose you've got to kind of put yourself forwards for that and not just wait for the people to give it you, because you cannot control other people's actions and what other people do, think or feel. The only thing you can control is what you do. If you want something, all you can do is everything in your power to achieve it.
Yeah.
So the other person is like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that based on these things. And they then take action. You can just wait and hope. There's no guarantee it'll ever happen.
No.
And there's no guarantee it'll happen when you want it to.
No.
And even if you do all those things, there's still no guarantee. But at least you've given it your best shot.
Yeah, you've got a chance.
Yeah, that's all you can do. And if you've given it your best shot and you've put yourself out there and you've asked for something and they say no, then you have a choice. Do you suck it up, do more and hope for a different outcome? Or if they say no, go, right, why have you said no? What can I do to get to A or B? Promotion, pay rise, something different, and then make a plan. Or you can go somewhere else.
Yeah, that is probably like a turning point, isn't it? Where you will be like, right, now is probably the time that I need to leave because I can't get what I
I've
want
gone as
here.
far as I
Yeah.
can go here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would you say have been some of your biggest challenges or turning points on your journey?
There was probably one challenge right at the beginning
Okay.
that you might have blocked it out your memory. When I actually nearly left.
Oh, I do remember this, and yes, I have buried that in a
Rest,
box
yeah.
somewhere.
That was quite near the beginning, wasn't it?
Were you like 6 months in? Ish.
Yeah, less than 6 months in. It was a challenging point at the beginning. So that is when it was, what do we call them? The old team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the older or more original team members of Fresh.
Yeah.
This would have still been 2021, so it's like 4 years ago still. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a rocky time for Fresh, I would say, because eventually their members of staff did leave. I stayed, obviously, because Laura persuaded me to. But it wasn't the nicest of environments for a short period of time because they were obviously thinking about leaving. They weren't happy. And I think, do you know when you've got people in your ear? And I think because I wasn't confident at that time.
They've been there longer.
Yeah.
So, you're like, oh, well, they've been here longer. They know more than I do here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't know at this point. It was only later that year that I realised I had a problem with some toxic team members.
Yeah.
So I didn't know at this point. And this is new information to me today. Not the fact that you resigned. Or trying to.
I know, I actually handed in my notice.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I'm thinking of leaving. I'm like, here's my notice.
I'm like, no, I'm not having this. This is the wrong decision. I didn't know at the time the reasons why until now. I didn't know it was because of other people.
Right.
So I don't think you ever really gave a reason. And so I only know now that it's because of those people. And I think even if that was May, June 21, it was only later that year, maybe September, that we realised we had a problem. So for a long time, I didn't know, which is worrying. But then that's why I have made changes in the business since then. And I didn't know that that's why you resigned. But I'm really, really glad I persuaded you to stay.
Oh my God, imagine. Imagine if I had left.
Oh my, I don't know. I can't imagine because I don't know what it would be like right now. So because one of my questions was going to be, talk to me about a time that you nearly gave up but didn't want kept you going. So this is that time, I imagine.
Yes.
So why didn't you give up? What made you change your mind?
Do you know what I think it was? It was because I was open and talked to you about stuff. Because prior to that, obviously, you didn't know about all of this, did you? Because I wasn't open with you. I probably struggled to be, because I'd never worked in a place like that before. Like the places I'd worked before, it's like, these people are your bosses. You probably tell them very little.
Bigger companies.
Yeah, it's just like quite professional. Your stuff outside of work stays outside of work. You just tell them what they need to know, and that's it. And then I came here. Obviously, there was some stuff I wasn't happy about.
I think that's what your reason was. Thinking about it now, because it's been a long time and I have buried it. I think you said it's just not for you.
Yeah,
or something like that.
So
and I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, is that me? Is it Emily? What is it? The job? I don't know.
Like such a generic answer that doesn't.
It's the truth though.
Yeah. But I wasn't as open with you then. And then I think after it happened, I think maybe you guys were a bit more open with me. So I opened up a bit, and then we had better communication channels, which then made me want to stay. And then since then, we've had very good communication channels.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to talk about, like, and that's possibly a slight on our side that we didn't communicate with you. But I really learned from that experience and the subsequent experiences that followed later that year. I made changes in my management and leadership style, made changes to the business, made changes to the structure of the business, and really taken on board that communication is really important. Because when you start a business and you start having employees, you've no idea what you're doing. You've only ever been an employee before.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're then responsible for the people and what they do and paying them money and no one ever really teaches you how to have employees. You just think, you get to a point, you're like, oh, let's get someone in because we're busy. And then you've got someone in, you're like, what do we do with them?
Well, yeah.
Don't know. So you kind of figure it out as you go.
Because, yeah, you have to turn into business owner, manager overnight, don't you? And if that's not what you've done before, it's not your strong point, you still have to do it because you're the business owner with these people
Looking at you
yeah.
and not clueless. And you're like, everyone's looking at me and for direction. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I can't tell them that. And I think I'm glad that you brought this up, and I'm glad that this is the thing that nearly made you give up, but you didn't. And I'm glad you've talked about it because I think it's really important for the people to know that just talk to your bosses, try to open up and be honest, because amazing things may happen.
Yeah.
And if amazing things don't happen, then you can still go.
Yeah.
But if you think there's a chance of a better way, a better life with what you've got, be honest. Or even if you're not sure, just be honest and open up, because they might be like, oh, this is awful, get out. And you're like, all right, well, I was going to go anyway, see ya. But they might respond like I did to Vicky, or me and Emily did. And we talked to them like, we didn't know this and we really want you to stay. I remember sending you voice notes telling you why I think you'd be good and you've got so much potential. Please don't give it up. And I'm glad that you made the decision. And that could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And then now, 4 years down the line, you're still here. You manage operations at Fresh Perspective, multiple promotions, pay rise, additional responsibility, and it's impacted your life. And it's really inspiring to other people, which is why I wanted to interview you.
Oh, thanks. Because it's crazy to think back. Because obviously, I was obviously going to leave. It was a 50-50 chance if I was staying. And I just think, well, like, what would I be doing now if I hadn't? Because I couldn't have said, oh, I regretted doing that if I hadn't left, because I wouldn't have known that I would have been here.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't have known that this is where I would have ended up. But if I'd have known that the two paths were either this or the other one, and I'd gone down the other one, I would have regretted that decision so much.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so many people possibly haven't ever had the chance to see where a path could lead because they didn't communicate.
Yeah. And they just gave up. And I'm annoyed at myself that I did that. But maybe it needed to happen for us to be where we are today.
If it hadn't happened, we possibly wouldn't be here because we wouldn't have started to improve our communication at that point. It would have possibly happened later, and you just don't know. You don't know what path it would have taken.
Don't.
And I suppose you've progressed through the ranks. We did hire a manager.
Oh yes, I remember that well.
At the end of 21, she didn't work out and left early 22. But and again, I believe that was meant to happen. We created a manager space, and she didn't quite fit it.
No.
But you saw that space, and I think you, like you said before, you noticed the gap. You looked at your skills. You kind of did things, and then we've gone, oh, hang on. Vicky, look at Vicky. She's doing these things. Let's just move Vicky into that space. Like, do you want to be the manager? You're like, yeah, okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. So and then I think you were probably the first real internal progression at Fresh that paved the way for others. And obviously some people have moved up, some people have moved sideways into marketing or sales or different things. But why do you think it's important to progress from within the team that you've already got rather than only hiring in externally?
To me, based on our experiences of why that didn't work, because if you're bringing someone in to manage a team, they don't know how your business works. They don't know what your culture's like. They haven't been through, we've been through a lot. They haven't been through all that. So they're coming in as this brand new person who basically needs to learn everything. And they might not do things the way that we do it. But if you're promoting people internally, they have all the background knowledge of how it works, like, what do you call that, on the floor. Like doing the do. They know.
Daily ops.
Yeah, because that was a problem when we had that manager coming in. She didn't want to learn how to do the do. She just
No.
wanted to manage and didn't want to be hands-on or anything like that.
Despite us talking about it in her interview.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
may add.
this happens all the time, doesn't it? You tell people stuff in their interview and like, I didn't know that. Great. But these people know your culture. You know they fit in with your culture. They know how every part of the business works. They're just then having to learn this additional skill of managing someone. So to me, it makes sense to promote internally when you can. It's not always possible for every
No.
single thing, because obviously if I maybe didn't have the right skill set, because not everyone's made to be a manager.
No, I was just going to say that even if they've got the background and they know every part of the business,
Yeah.
and they're amazing at everything and the cultural fits, they still might not have what it takes to be a manager. Like I would say, I can be a manager.
Yeah.
It doesn't come easy to me. I'm more of a leader, which is why it's better that you're the manager.
Yeah. I have worked at places though, and people have been promoted into like team lead type roles because they're amazing at doing the job of the people that are doing whatever job it is. But they're literally terrible at being a manager. But because they're so good at the job, they just get automatically promoted. And I'm like, that's not how it should work. Just because you're good at a certain job doesn't mean you can then manage people doing it, because you might have literally no people skills and not know how to handle certain situations. Because believe me, it is hard dealing with people, managing people, having to adapt to different styles and having like tough conversations and having to coach and mentor people and have the patience with them. So just because you're good at a job doesn't then mean you can manage someone. Because if you don't have all those skills, you're going to be terrible at it.
Yeah. And that happens more. Oh my God, it should. So
Yeah.
much more. I would say probably at least 50-50. 50% of managers end up in management jobs just because of this reason.
Yeah.
At least.
And
so many of my previous managers
yeah.
have been like this.
But then that's what makes people want to leave then, because they're like, this person shouldn't be a manager. And if they're not good with the team that's underneath them, then people will want to leave. Like a team leader or a manager is really influential in other people's jobs, in the happiness. If you have someone who isn't very nice to you, doesn't know how to approach certain situations, likes to micromanage, talks to people like crap, then people are going to leave.
Yeah. We don't want that.
No, definitely not.
Although this is a nice segue into my next question. Talk about leaving and then recruiting.
Yeah.
Why recruitment? I mean, I'm imagining nothing's well. What I'm going to ask you the question actually. So what drew you to the industry?
I didn't come to Fresh to work in recruitment. It was the company. Like, I've never thought about working in recruitment. My background is very varied. It's not like I've been like, oh, I like this industry, so I'm going to carry on working in it. So I've worked like doing admin in a construction company. I've worked in a solicitor's, and then I worked for a mortgage broker. So very, very different. To me, it was like I said previously, I was like, that looks like a lovely company to work for. And actually, I applied for Fresh. That when I got the job, that was the second time I'd applied for Fresh. I applied once before and just got, I don't even think I got to a telephone interview. I didn't even get to an interview stage, just got rejected.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
It was Emily that sent me an email.
I'm not taking any responsibility.
Yeah. And you know what? I wanted to work here so much that when I saw another job come up, I'm like, I'm going to go for this again. And it was
Thank goodness you did.
It was completely different the second time around. I think I applied on the Tuesday. Emily contacted me on the Wednesday. We had a Teams call on the Thursday, came for a face-to-face on the Friday, and you offered me the job on the Friday. 4 days.
Wow, that's a record. It sounds like a Craig Davis.
Yeah. Oh my God, I could make a song out of it. But I think I came in last minute. I think you were at like final stages and I came in last minute. But it worked out this time. Everything happens for a reason, though.
It was meant to be.
But it probably was because I can't remember how long before I applied the first time. But it probably wouldn't have worked out that time, I don't think.
Yeah, and there's a couple of tips in there. So for candidates, if it doesn't work out the first time and you really want something, don't give up.
Yeah.
Apply again, ask again. Don't just stop because you've had a no. And for employers, it really showcase your employer brand on social media.
Yeah.
That's one thing that stood out that I wouldn't have expected from this interview, is show your brand, show what it's like. So we talk about it all the time when we talk about recruitment on social media, but it's so important to showcase what your environment is like, what you stand for, because people like Vicky will look
Yeah.
at it and think, not necessarily bothered about the sector, but I want to work at that company. And that, who doesn't want people to feel like that?
Yeah, exactly. I used to see your videos. I remember, I think Emily did a lot of videos back then, and I just used to watch Emily's videos. I'm like, I love the sound of this. So it wasn't recruitment necessarily,
Okay.
but then I started and I loved it.
So that's my next question. What's made you stay in recruitment, and why Fresh? I suppose the two are intrinsically linked.
So what's the first question? Why?
So you didn't join for recruitment?
Yeah.
But why have you stayed? Why do you like it?
I like it because obviously we like to help people. I like helping people, but I also like the fact that it's fast paced, changes day by day, keeps you on your toes. No day is the same. I could not just sit at a desk, just like tip tapping away doing admin all day. I like the fact that you never know what's going to happen. Honestly, you come in the morning, set a plan for the day. By about 10 o'clock, it's changed. But that suits me. I know it's not for everyone, that. I like the pressure. I like the fast pace, urgency of it. That really suits me. And recruitment is very much like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But helping people too.
Helping people too. And I suppose it would be remiss of me to not get you to do a little plug about Fresh Perspective
Yeah.
now we're here. But why do you like Fresh, and why should people come and let you and your team help them?
I like Fresh because it's doing it the right way. Because everyone's got a horror story about recruitment. We all know how bad the industry can be. Every single prospect that I speak to has some horror story about recruitment. But I like the fact that we are trying to change that. We do things the right way. We don't try and do sneaky things like agencies do. We don't try and charge people an absolute fortune. We don't pinch people from companies where we've placed them or lie to our clients. We're just really nice and kind, and we have morals and values and ethics that I hope comes through on our social media and when we speak to people. And I think that's why I like it, because it aligns with the individuals in the company as well, the way that we work.
Yeah, the values.
Yeah.
And when you say it's recruitment done the right way, what do you mean by that?
It's not,
What is the right way?
the right way is giving your customers a good service, good value for money. So we don't just send over CVs and hope for the best. We provide a full recruitment service, providing support, guidance, advice along the way, steering our clients in the right direction to make sure that they're getting the most out of the recruitment that they get from us. We don't just fire CVs over because they kind of look good on paper. We get to know people, make sure they fit in with the client's culture, their values, to make sure everything aligns. And it's not just about your skills and experience, it's about fitting in personality and culturally wise as well.
Excellent.
Is that okay?
Yes. What else have I got? Looking at the time. Okay. So, is there anything that you would like to add about career progression?
I think I've covered it all. Just don't sit and wait for career progression to come to you. You need to have that fire in your belly. You need to work hard. It isn't easy. I mean, it might be easy in some places, but everywhere that I've worked and I've had to move up, it's not just handed to you on a plate. You need to go out there, grab the bull by the horns, Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, that's very good.
Thank you.
Good closing statement.
Thank you.
Okay, so some questions to wrap up. If you could compare the Fresh Office to a TV show, which one would it be and why?
Do you know what? Do you not think it might be like The Office?
Yeah.
Do you not think it could actually be like, I feel like we could actually make The Office
Oh my
with the
God.
stuff that goes on in this office?
Any TV producers listed,
Yeah.
we would love to be on TV.
Yeah, like the stuff that happens in this office. Like when Danielle comes out with her little one-liners, Tom being Tom all day, every day, the TikToks that we make, the dogs running around the office, sometimes pooing on on the mat.
Some of the things that happen on the daily, it's just bonkers, but in the best way.
Yeah, it's a crazy office. There's never a dull day in the office.
No,
but
definitely
we
not.
make a TV show like The Office.
Right, okay. And then we're going to do the fresh or stale.
My favourite part.
Okay, so fresh or stale, Vicky?
Yeah.
Online dating.
Stale. It's so stale.
Vicky is single, by the way, for all our listeners out there. If any of you are eligible bachelors, please message me, Laura Leyland, on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because you need to vet them, but you won't find me on a dating app. The people on there are not good.
So I say Sheen, but Vicky says
Shein.
okay, fresh or stale?
Super fresh.
Super fresh.
Super fresh. Apart from they've played me this week, Shein.
Shein. That's the correct way to say it. You know, it just makes me laugh. I don't know why.
But they've played me because I've bought some stuff for Ibiza. Or like I'd say 90% of my wardrobe is now Shein. So I put a whole order in for Ibiza. And then I went to check out and paid for everything. And I realised they hadn't put 6 things in it was still in my basket, 6 things. I thought it was really cheap for what I was ordering.
It's too late.
I've put the other order in as
Okay,
well,
well.
but I had to put more stuff in because I didn't qualify for free delivery. So I have a lot of stuff coming. I'm going to have to send some back.
How
But-
exciting, though. Love a good Sheen haul.
Oh my God, yeah, I can't wait for it to come.
Spicy margaritas, fresh or stale?
Super fresh. Oh my God, they're my favourite. I love a spicy
Do you
margarita.
prefer a spicy over a non-spicy marg?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do, but I still love a non-spicy margarita.
Okay. People not reading their emails.
Oh, so stale. Honestly, I don't know why people can't read emails. People just choose what they read in an email. The amount of times the team will ask me a question, I'm like, have you read your email?
Yeah. Or for me, the reply all. People not clicking reply all when there's more than one person in the email thread.
Like, these people are in it for a reason. They need to know what you're responding to. And the buttons are next to each other.
Yeah.
And it clearly says reply and reply all.
Vicky clearly feels very passionately about that.
Emails are just... And then when you have stuff in an email and people just reply to part of it,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what about the rest?
Yeah.
We're just ignoring that.
Okay, so just emails in general.
Emails in general are really frustrating.
And lastly, watermelon.
Oh, I love it. Fresh. I just love watermelon. I've bought for Ibiza a watermelon bag.
Oh my goodness.
Shit like watermelon.
When Vicky says she loves watermelon, like watermelon vape, sweets, watermelon flavoured vodka.
Oh my God.
She's got a t-shirt with a watermelon on it.
I have, yeah. And now I've got a bag. I did want a skirt. Jem sent me a skirt, but it was £75 and that's not Shein prices. So
No, I mean, it's a lot for a skirt. I mean, imagine it was a short skirt.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're not getting a lot of material for 75 quid.
There were sequins on it, which is why the price was...
Did it have watermelons on it?
Yeah, had watermelons on it.
Right.
It had little watermelons around the bottom and then little...
Oh, I'm surprised that you didn't see the value in the watermelon.
Can't pay £75 for a skirt that I'm going to wear once. The cost of value is low there.
Okay. Right then. Oh, I think that's it. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for being interviewed.
Thank you very much for interviewing me.
You're
I've really
so
enjoyed it.
Me too. Right, well, thanks for listening, guys. If you have enjoyed this episode, listen to our others, previous interviews and the likes. Leave us a review, follow or subscribe, depending on which platform you are listening to us on. And if you want to see more about what we get up to, go on to our Instagram, FP_resourcing.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn, Fresh Perspective Resourcing, or Vicky Taylor, Laura Leyland in particular. You want our individual profiles. We're also on TikTok and Facebook.
YouTube.
And YouTube.
Yes.
And our website is www.fp, that's F for fresh, P for perspective, -resourcing.co.uk. Have a lovely day. Peace out.
Bye.